Welcome to Lessons in Overthinking and Obsessing. Hello, my friends, my fellow overthinkers. I really hope that you are loving the new direction of the podcast and the work that I'm putting out there. Coming up in this episode, of course, we're going to have a bit of a chit chat about how overthinking can stand in the way of your dreams, the life you desire and deserve, and living in the moment. We'll think about how overthinking disconnects us from the present moment and the life that's happening right now. I'll share some everyday examples of what it looks like to be more in your head than in the present moment. And I'm going to share, at the moment, I don't know if I'll add any more as I go, but I'm planning to share 4 key messages in psychoeducation that often support people to get out of their heads and back into life, back into focusing on whatever it is that is important to you, the person listening to this. If you are an overthinker, worrying, ruminating, self-criticizing, monitoring for threat or obsessing over someone, then I want to help you get to a place where you feel less anxious and happier. And I really hope that this episode can add to that goal and this amazing, beautiful journey that you're choosing to be on just by being here and listening to this. I love self-help. I love personal development. I love just us improving ourselves and learning things that we weren't taught in the past that really we should have been taught, right? How to manage our thoughts, how to not overthink so much. It's something so many of us struggle with. And so I want to help you to break free from that. And there I go already doing the chit chatting because these topics are so important to me that it's really easy for me to, sort of go off on a tangent and into passion. I am Carly Ann. I'm a therapist. I work with people whose minds get stuck in loops, replaying conversations, analysing texts, obsessing over people, questioning decisions, worrying about how they come across, or mentally preparing for things that have not even happened yet. Many of my clients are intelligent, deeply self-aware people who get lost and spiral as soon as they're triggered, and it can happen really intensely. And I do that through helping people break cycles using modern day CBT approaches that combine practical tools, compassion, genuine insights. And this podcast is not a replacement for therapy at all. It's not a replacement for coaching and getting that individual support, but I do share insights and learnings and things that inspire me and inspire other people that I come across. During the first hour of assessing someone's overthinking, I always will ask the same question. I'll ask in some form about why is changing important to you? And after years of hearing thousands of different stories, different fears, habits, and struggles, there is a really common answer that keeps coming up. And it is something along the lines of, I feel like I'm missing out on my life. I'm spending more time in my head, right? Something along that line. Perhaps you can fill in the gap for yourself. If you're an overthinker, what is it? Is I feel like life is passing me by. It feels like I'm wasting time. I feel like I'm existing and not really getting the chance to live because I'm worrying and going over the past nonstop. I feel disconnected from the life I want. That is such a common experience for people who feel like they're missing out on the present moment. If you ever feel like that too, if you are aware that you spend a huge amount of time living in your mind, and let's face it, it's usually we're living in the past or the future, in our imagination, obsessing over something or someone or an idea. And it is such a huge amount of energy that it takes. If you relate to that, if that feels like you, then I'm here and I'm talking to you. And I believe and I am very confident that you do not have to stay in this state of anxiety or fear or overwhelm that this creates, being so disconnected from our body and who we truly are because of all of the thoughts that we're having. You know, people are missing out on their potential because of the fears, the worries and thoughts that they cannot detach from or let go of. And it really saddens me to consider that so many people will never really discover what they're capable of. Not because they lack potential, but because their thoughts tell them what they can't do or remind them of the times that they failed in the past. And then, of course, you feel all the things that go with that, and you want to hide away and shrink and not take risks. And I've been there. I have been that person that was not following my dreams, was not, certainly wouldn't have put a podcast out, certainly wouldn't have blogged or, done the work that I'm doing out of a fear of what people think, or I can't do it. There's other people better than me. All of those thoughts, the worries that, I keep saying it, the fears. So I get it. If that's where you are right now, perhaps you're just starting to get out of your comfort zone. I get it. And you know what? That staying small, missing out on your potential, that's not actually who I'm talking to right now, because you personally want to move towards a better life despite the overthinking, despite what you've been through, despite the potential failure. You want to live more in the moment. You want to feel happier and more present. And so do I, because that is what changes our future. That is what moves us towards our goals and the bigger vision. There is a really wonderful quote that says, the best way to take care of the future is to take care of the present moment. How true is that? The best way to take care of the future is to take care of the present moment, your present moment. When we take care of the moment right now, you're taking care of the next moment and the next. And before long, those moments, they become days, months, years, they become your dreams. Now, let me remind you of something that I said earlier, right? People that class themselves as professional overthinkers will say, I feel like I'm missing out on life. They're not just saying success or money or achievement, they're saying life. And I really think that captures a real deep truth. You may be physically present in your day, your body is right here, but mentally you're somewhere else entirely. And we miss out on life. Daily examples can be that you're eating dinner while replaying conversations from 3 days ago. You're missing the taste of this dinner that you actually wanted to enjoy or have been looking forward to. We're walking through beautiful places while worrying about next month, missing moments of awe, moments of connection, moments where we can be manifesting. We are sitting beside people we love while mentally preparing for the email we will send tomorrow, or imagining them hurting us in some way and leaving us eventually. We are on a date and we're questioning the tone of their voice, each expression, and trying to figure out exactly who they are and whether they will break our hearts. And so we're not experiencing life. We're experiencing our thoughts, our predictions, our memories, our fears. And isn't that such a serious cost? When it comes to living in your mind, it doesn't just cost the feelings of anxiety and stress, cost like feeling that intensely, waking up, feeling anxiety. That's not the only cost. It costs us time, precious, precious, precious time. A moment to ask you, are you spending too much time in your head? Are you feeling like you're missing out on the moment? And if you do, comment a number 1 on Spotify or YouTube. Let me know that you get it. Comment a number 1 to let me know that this resonates, that you're replaying conversations or predicting problems, analyzing emotions, questioning yourself. Comment a number 1 to let me know, yeah, you get it. It's really important at this point that I share some key messages, some key psychoeducation around what really does support people to get out of their head, to get more in the moment. And I'm not giving you really like specific techniques, which I can appreciate that you may want. So I guess that's a good chance to remind you that you can book a one-off single session with me. We will deep dive into what's on your mind, what's holding you back subconsciously, and get you back on track, get you out of your head. You can go to the link in the description to book that. But still, what I am going to share is so insightful. And I want to share some key insights that can support you right now. You might want to write these down or note them down, or just see as I'm talking if you have any moment, any realizations of, I know I could do this different. That would really help me. Take what really resonates for you or feels like for you it's going to help, and leave what doesn't. The first insight I'm sharing is that not every thought you have deserves your engagement. One of the biggest things I try to help people understand is that not every thought deserves your attention and your engagement. Overthinkers often treat thoughts as if they are urgent problems that need solving immediately. Your mind, it produces fear, it produces doubt, what if, so automatically. And as soon as that happens, as soon as you're in that comparison to other people, as soon as you're in that fear state, there is this urge to analyze. Hours can be lost trying to find certainty, reassurance, or the perfect answer. But the more someone lives that way, the more disconnected they become from their actual life. A huge part of recovery, a huge part of healing your overthinking mind is learning that your thoughts can exist without needing to be solved, answered, fixed, or followed. We're not emptying the mind. We're not thinking positively all the time. We can really take this approach that acceptance and commitment therapy is brilliant with, that we can let our thoughts be there without having to be pulled away by them, without having to answer them or move out of our current moment. Can I continue living? Can I continue engaging on what it is that I'm doing without having to feed this thought and analyze it and judge myself for it and question it? It's about, can I stay in this moment? Can I be here whilst this thought is here? Just because you have a thought, it doesn't mean that you have to act on it. It doesn't mean that you have to do something. It doesn't mean that you have to seek reassurance. So many of our thoughts are not true. When we engage with them, we feed them and we stay in that spiral. And that leads me on really nicely to the second insight, which is all about redirecting your attention. So another major part of overcoming overthinking, it involves helping you to redirect your attention away from the self-monitoring, the planning, the analyzing, to move away from that engagement that I'm talking about. Now, sometimes this will feel like you're treating the symptom and not the sort of deep underlying problem. Right? But it is so important. If you feel like you can't control your thoughts, if you often try to stop worrying about something or not think so negatively about something and you're pulled back in, overthinkers often really feel like, I'm trying to think about something else, or I'm trying to focus on something else. But there is this habit of getting re-hooked back on the problem, back on the worry, back on the person. No matter how hard you try, you keep finding yourself back on the same loop. There is something here about really having to train yourself to be able to redirect your attention. This part of healing is learning how to focus your attention outwardly again, how to move your attention back to conversations, back to the moment, back to your creativity, your what gives you purpose, or nature, or ordinary moments. You want to practice those little moments of mindfulness. And even if you then get pulled back into the worry, back into the fear, back into the negative thinking, you try again and you allow yourself to practice more times each day or for longer periods each day. You are practicing redirecting your attention. It may feel like focusing on the symptom rather than what's really going on underneath, but the ability to redirect your attention is important. Third is to look at the function of overthinking. It might sound strange, but overthinking often has a subconscious function. And that's what I'm talking about, where maybe redirecting your attention can seem like focusing on the symptom. Looking at that function and what's going on underneath can feel like that deeper work, but both are really important. Looking at the function is about, ultimately, when you're overthinking, there is some form of self-protection going on there. It's trying to protect you from discomfort, preventing something bad from happening, or helping us feel more in control. The exact protection it can be quite unique to you. I actually find that in a relationship, focusing can be really powerful for this, for us being able to really work somatically to understand what is the function of your overthinking. To speak to the hurt parts of us can be really powerful. So that's just a reminder, if you want to book a single session, it can be great for that. It can be great. That one-to-one time with me for us to look at the function can be really, really powerful. But let's take someone who spends days replaying a conversation in their head, analyzing every single word they said and wondering, did I offend someone? On the surface, okay, they're overthinking. Underneath that, there is this deep fear of rejection. Then maybe there is this big fear of not being liked. But the mind is still searching for certainty. It's still trying to think, did I hurt them? Did I not hurt them? Do I need to please them? Do I need to make up for it? That's all the overthinking. But really, what we need is to pause, to consider what is going on underneath. Think about someone who wants to start a business, apply for a new job, or I don't know, they want to begin a new relationship. They're not taking action. Instead, they're researching, planning, preparing, thinking about it, telling themselves that they're being responsible, telling themselves that they're planning and they're getting ready. But really, what's happening is there is this fear of failure, fear of rejection. So they keep preparing. They never actually take the risk. They never actually take the action to find out whether this could work out. So they stay in their heads, living in their heads, instead of taking the actual action. The function there is it keeps me safe from failure. It keeps me safe from hurt or rejection. In both cases, we're talking about overthinking serving a purpose, right? Having some kind of, almost like some kind of control, it protecting us. But the problem for you is that while you're mentally preparing or you're thinking about things instead, we're not in the moment. And to summarize that, overthinking, something vulnerable is often underneath it. A fear of uncertainty, rejection, a fear of getting something wrong and getting hurt. And whilst it might feel productive and protective, it's coming at a cost. Yeah, it's keeping you trapped in your head and it's stopping you living the life that you truly desire and deserve. And this is why we need to learn how to come back to the present moment and choose action over the constant thinking about things. If that one speaks to you, I really do recommend get out of your head the one-to-one session with me, because we can definitely look at that together. The fourth insight I want to share is repairing the relationship with self. When it comes to overcoming overthinking and living more in your life and in your happiness, you have to repair the relationship that you have with yourself, your inner world, your body, your feelings, your mind. You know, to befriend the different parts of yourself from the inside out. So many of us don't trust ourselves. You don't trust yourself to cope. You underestimate yourself. You don't trust yourself to handle rejection or to feel feelings, or you feel like you wouldn't be able to cope if things went wrong, let's say. But you are still worthy, even if things don't go perfectly. You can cope better than you give yourself credit for. This overthinking, instead of the taking action, or because we are not trusting ourselves or we're not believing ourselves or we're putting someone else up in a pedestal, is often such a sign that the relationship that we have with ourselves is almost damaged in some way. Analyzing every interaction because you don't want to be disliked, breaking your boundaries and then worrying and being full of guilt because you don't want someone to think badly of you or you don't want someone to leave you. And so many times within that, you are abandoning yourself. Overthinking so often comes from something that isn't even aligned with who we truly are. How many times are you overthinking about someone where you actually think, I actually don't really respect that person that much. I actually don't like many things about them, and yet you care so much about what they think about you. You go on a date and you think, I don't think I'm even that into this person. They reject you and you can't even cope. A huge amount of your overthinking will be about this idea of if something goes wrong, it's going to mean something bad about me and who I am. It's often even not about them. And when you start to build a more compassionate, grounded relationship with yourself, you won't feel the need for someone else to like you or to prove your worth. You won't feel the need to have the future go perfectly or to get the closure that you thought you so desperately needed. You can get through difficult moments. You don't need someone else's approval or to change the past in order to feel accepted or calm. You are worthy, even in uncertain situations. And to offer your hurt parts, to offer your younger parts, or to offer yourself now or your future self the love and the understanding that you probably give others, that is priceless. That can make so much difference. It is amazing what happens to our worry and our overthinking when we accept ourselves and when we like ourselves and work on loving ourselves. It's absolutely incredible the way that there is just this natural positive reduction in negative thinking and worry. So repairing the relationship and the trust that you have with yourself is life-changing if you want to reduce your overthinking and live more in the moment. That is 4 key truths to help you live more in the present moment. I hope you've even had a moment of feeling inspired. But I guess the real question for you is, if you truly started living more in the present, what would actually change tomorrow, today, in fact? What would you actually do differently? And picture it really clearly. Don't just let this be an idea. Don't let this just be a podcast that you're going to turn off and think, oh, yeah, that was interesting, and then move on. Start actually shifting your behavior in a direction that will allow you to work on this, to live more in the moment. Just small shifts, but real action. That's how this becomes real for you. That's how you actually become someone who will say, I used to overthink nonstop and now I have control over my thoughts. If you were not spending so much time in your mind, what would you be doing more of? Move towards your desires, allow your attention to go there, even when things are not perfect. And I will always say, I really do believe that when this feels uncontrollable, when we feel like I've done a lot of this and I'm still really struggling to shift my overthinking or to feel calm about myself or to not be triggered by certain people or situations, then absolutely working on what is driving that and those core beliefs that are being activated is so important. And again, that's where I would say, feel free to book the Get Out of Your Head one-to-one single session, and we can look at that. It's a focused 2-hour session where we interrupt what's keeping you stuck and we'll create a clear plan to help you move forward. Guys, if you took anything from this episode, comment number 1 on YouTube or Spotify so I know you're here. Follow me on Instagram, carlyann_therapy. I'm posting over there. You can learn a bit more about me, see a bit just more of my life and, the stories and all the things. And feel free to DM me. Next episode, I will share a meditation to help you get out of your head and back into the moment.